We love spending this time with you. Thank you for listening. If you would like to take your listening experience to the next level, did you know there's a way to do that, Jabo?
I do.
Yep, you know how you do it. You go to thetjshow.com, you sign up for the TJ Show newsletter, and you get cool things dropped right into your inbox, like the TJ Show's 10 shares. We pick 10 different things, everyone on the team does it, that we think you're going to love. It's not just about our show. This is about like stuff, music we're listening to, whatever it may be.
Like life stuff.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more in there. Sign up at thetjshow.com. This is the TJ Show. Oh my goodness, Jabo, I think you just made the rest of my week. This is so exciting.
You're so silly.
I can't believe this. This is actually happening.
Well, I'm glad it brings you joy, TJ.
So yesterday on the show at this time, I was telling you, my wife surprised me and she booked an Airbnb weekend at this really beautiful place. It's going to be celebrating my birthday.
That's right.
And I am looking forward to it, but I'm also afraid because I've heard sometimes these people who own these houses, they like wire them up with cameras and who knows what's going on. And there were even big stories in the news about Airbnb putting a stop to cameras inside, but it doesn't mean people are going to listen.
Right.
And so I asked your husband, who's in the U.S. military, to please give me some intel. How do I figure out if there are cameras in a place like that? And you actually got an answer.
I did. I got the inside scoop.
Oh, Jabo, this is amazing. So here we go. I think I'm on a mission right now.
Oh, Lordy.
Jabo interviewed Archie yesterday.
Hey, Archie, I know you're playing 2K. I need to ask you a question. You have a second?
Is that a video game?
Yeah, he's playing basketball.
Oh.
Sure, I can pause it.
TJ's wife, Jess, set up an Airbnb stay for like their birthday weekend in a couple weeks. And TJ's freaking out with the fact that some Airbnbs have cameras. Do you have any advice on how he can like scope out and see where the cameras are? You being military and everything with your training?
There is an app that you can use to basically look up the infrared dots that are on cameras.
Did he just say infrared dots?
He did.
This is awesome. Kenny, you hear this?
Yeah, there's an app for that.
How cool is that?
Sometimes you can actually see that with filtered light. You just have to do a clean sweep of the place when you get in there.
He just said clean sweep. That's cool. That's awesome. I love it. Dude, I'm going to do a clean sweep when I get there.
You have to go through all of the items that are in there. Look for things that doesn't look normal. Sometimes if the smoke detector looks a little bulky, sometimes you can just check it and view it to see if there's anything that might be out of place.
So people are hiding cameras and smoke detectors?
Yeah, smoke detectors.
Yeah.
Whoa. See, I wouldn't even have thought that you could do that.
Clocks, outlets where you plug your electronics.
Hold on, I want to hear
in.
from Archie.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Alarm clocks, check and see if there's a...
Oh, wow. You were right, Kenny. How do you know that? Are you somebody who hides cameras?
No.
How does he know this stuff?
I don't know.
I don't want to be the guy who admits like, oh yeah, checking all these places. How do you know?
Right.
Something that might be out of place. Again, there's one little trick where you can basically put your finger towards the mirror, and if there's no gap, then you know that it might not be the right mirror.
What do you mean by no gap?
Great question.
Thank you.
So,
Because I have no idea what he's talking about.
Same.
particularly when you put your finger through the mirror, there's usually a gap depending on the reflection. If there's no gap, then that mirror might be a see-through.
Oh, interesting. So
I had no idea.
Yeah, like maybe there's a camera on the other side of something that looks like a mirror, but it's really just a piece of glass.
Right.
Whoa.
And that app you were talking about, what's it called? Can you give me the military names?
There is no military apps for that.
I think that's what they pay him to say. Okay, fine. So what's the app that civilians can use?
Just Google camera detector apps.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
Guys, I was just on a mission. That was awesome, and I am going to do a clean sweep, and I will report back.
You better report back. I want to know what you find.
Yes,
Hopefully
producer
nothing.
Heather.
So the big military secret is all stuff I saw on TikTok? Weird.
Hey, don't take this moment away from me.
That's why they're trying to shut TikTok down.
This is the TJ Show, just trying to keep me and you and everyone safe. There was a story that we read yesterday, and we just barely touched on it, but the more I thought about it yesterday after the show, it bothered me more and more. I'm talking about this Scarlett Johansson and OpenAI story. There's this new voice feature that came out on OpenAI, and it's essentially a way to interact with your computer, and it's eerily similar to a movie that came out over a decade ago called Her. And in that movie, a guy turns on his computer and a wonderful voice starts talking to him, and then throughout the movie, they develop this relationship. The guy with his computer, and that voice is Scarlett Johansson. Well, we found out yesterday that apparently the person who runs OpenAI,
Sam Altman,
one of the big kingpins of technology, and apparently he reached out to Scarlett Johansson and asked her to be the voice, and she declined.
Right. So the story we reported on was that they were going to pause the use of the voice Sky because of the overwhelming comparisons being made to Scarlett Johansson.
But then we find out that it looks like Scarlett Johansson's actually taking some legal action, or at least getting legal counsel about what to do, because she said no to the offer. And fast forward now to the release, and it sounds eerily similar, almost exact comparison to Scarlett Johansson.
To the point where like her family and the media can't even decipher if it's her or not.
It's such a weird thing to me, and I think what really bothered me about it, and again, I'm assuming all of this, I don't know exactly what happened behind closed doors, but just from what we're hearing on the surface, you ask someone to lend their voice, they say, no, I don't want to do it. And then shortly after that, a voice that sounds almost identical to that person that said no, that's a coincidence, that's an accident, in quotes. It feels like a power move to me.
I would feel violated if I was her.
Yes.
I would.
Me
because
too,
I told
J-Bo.
you no, and then you went and did this. Yeah, I would feel definitely violated.
Right, and it feels offensive. Like, I feel bad for her, and I'm glad that it's stopping, and hopefully there's going to be more answers. I mean, but it's also such an interesting gray area because it's not her. And so can you not have a voice that sounds like her?
Well, we don't know that necessarily.
Oh, we don't?
So, yeah, because, of course, she was reached out to by Sam Altman last September to actually be the voice. She said after much consideration and for personal reasons, she declined the offer. Then when the demos came out, she hears the voice. It fools her friends and family, fools news organizations. She found out about this 2 days before the demo was released. Altman reached out to her again, asking her to reconsider. But then it comes out, sounds just like her. So she has sought legal counsel. They wrote letters to Mr. Altman and OpenAI, setting out to find what they had done, asking them to detail the exact process by which they created the Sky voice. Consequently, OpenAI reluctantly agreed to take down the Sky voice.
That's interesting. So maybe with the technology and where it's at, could they have actually taken samples, or at least that's what they're trying to investigate? Because she's in how many movies is she in, right?
Billion.
If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
I mean, we don't know for sure what's going on, but what an interesting time that we're in. And also, I'm glad she's fighting it, even for the sake of voice actors and actresses. This is a very weird time where a lot of people with a lot of talent could potentially be taken advantage of.
Yeah, there's no telling whether or not they cloned her actual voice or they hired a voice actor to sound like her. But her closing statement, in a time when we were all grappling with deep fakes and the protection of our own likeness, our own work, our own identities, I believe these are questions that deserve to be clarified.
Absolutely.
I look forward to the resolution in the form of transparency and the passage of appropriate legislation to help ensure that individual rights are protected.
Amen. Camera guy Josh, how'd you get to work today?
Well, I know my way to work. I know what you're trying to get at. I don't need a GPS to get to work.
You know, it's great. Josh was just like complaining a little bit before the show, but I totally feel what he's saying because my parents do the same exact thing. Not only your parents, but your in-laws, they ask you the same question every time you arrive.
Yeah. Well, how'd you get here? I'm like, what? The GPS? What do you mean? How'd I get here? They want to know like specific roads, interstates, numbers. I don't know why. I don't get it.
My dad, take the highway?
Yeah, my dad does the same thing. Oh, you took the interstate? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Of course they sent you the interstate. Yep, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. That's the way I would go.
Yeah, I remember my dad, when I was a kid, he would take a map out on the kitchen table, and he would actually map out his route. And I think that there's a certain pride that we don't understand in our age of knowing how to get to where we're supposed to go. Like, I just literally punch in an address every time. And there have been times where I've driven on highways and my dad has asked me, what road you take? I said, Dad, honestly, I don't even know which one it was. I was just in a car and I got into it and I kind of morphed here. I don't know how I got here.
I use GPS so much that I don't care if I've been there 18 times, I'm still using a GPS to make sure I actually get there. Because there might be traffic.
Yeah,
you know
maybe you need to reroute.
Yeah.
We all want to be connected like we're in a movie.
Yeah, I actually like having these conversations with the older people in my life. I guess it goes back to when I used to work for my dad. I used to make deliveries for him, and the best we had was MapQuest. So I had to look up the directions and then figure it out without having a phone or a GPS at the side. So I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll have that conversation with my dad. Oh, yeah, they tell you that way, huh? Yeah, of course. You know what time of day it is. You got to go that way. Yeah, I mean, that's just, of course.
And then what do you say back? Because I want to learn how to have the conversation because I don't really know how to have it.
Well, like, for instance, there's like 4 different ways to get to my parents' house from where I live now.
Right.
So I'll say, well, yeah, Dad, well, I decided to take this way because the tolls were less. Oh, yeah, well, of course, you gotta save money any chance you can, especially now that I'm not paying for your Easy Pass.
Wait, how long did your dad pay for your Easy Pass?
Probably till I was 25.
Yeah, me too. He covered it. He didn't realize it, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't know. I never really
paying my own bills since I was 16.
No, but not Easy Pass, was it? My dad covered it. Yeah, it was an accident, but he never asked me to pay him back.
My mom
for that.
was like, "You drive the car, you drive the tolls, you pay for the Easy Pass."
Yes, Heather.
My in-laws still pay for our Easy Pass to this day.
What in the world?
Why did you say that out loud? What are you doing? You don't hurt that. That's like a hornet's nest.
You just literally bit the hand.
Let it
Don't
be.
say nothing.
Yeah, I mean, how many things are on our parents' credit cards?
But I do love it when, like, for example, my mom would be like, "Oh yeah, you can go down there and make a right or a left." I'm like, "Mom, I'm gonna put the address in the GPS. Don't waste your breath. Don't tell me about how to get there. It's fine. The GPS will tell me."
But that hurts her feelings, doesn't it?
No, she eventually learns, and she's like, "Well, I'm not gonna tell her. She's gonna use the address. What's the point? I'm saving her time and effort."
Yes, camera guy Josh.
Yeah, I have that same problem, J-Bo. I just let them go. They want to tell me how to get somewhere I've never been before. I just let them talk for
Maybe I should
15,
try
20
that, then.
minutes, however long, and then I put it in the GPS when I get in the car.
The whole time you're like, yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, my father-in-law likes to tell me like, "Oh, you can go this way or you can go that way," and I have to let him go. It's almost like when you're ordering at a restaurant and they give you the specials list, and you already know what you're going to order, but it's disrespectful to stop them.
Yeah.
So it's just one of these things that we do in life to be nicer.
I've definitely done that. I'm like, "Oh, what do you recommend?" "Oh, I recommend the steak, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "So I have the chicken tenders."
This is the TJ Show. We're weird.
Hi, everybody. This is Adriana Trajani. I'm the host of You Are What You Read, a podcast about the books that built our souls. I have the privilege of interviewing luminaries of our times about the books that shaped them from childhood until now. Don't miss it. We get everybody from Sarah Jessica Parker to Kristen Hanna to Jhumpa Lahiri, Susie Essman, Rainn Wilson, Amor Tolls. You name it, they come, they talk, they share. You can join us on Instagram for more behind-the-scenes content and giveaways at You Are What You Read podcast and at Adriana Trajani. New episodes of You Are What You Read drop every Tuesday on Apple, Spotify, or any major streaming platform wherever you listen to your podcasts.
I'm Erica, 1/3 of the podcast Books and Betches, a comedy book podcast where we swear, spoil, and we talk about...
Whoa, you cannot say that in this.
What do you mean? That's like our slogan. It's our gimmick.
It is, but just say we're a very funny adult book podcast. How about we just give some examples of things we talk about? Well, there's a lot of chaos.
I'm Kristen, and with me I have...
No. We talk about books, but we're not your AP Lit class.
I definitely hit on the major points.
You absolutely did not.
She did.
You talked
just
about...
not in the order you thought she would.
You talked so slowly about one thing.
A lot of sidebar conversations.
Are you denying the existence of chupacabras?
You know, Erica, yes, I am.
And we don't always get the facts right.
Epilogues don't belong in books. Call it chapter 1.
That's a
the
prologue.
The second I see...
That's a prologue.
Oh, I'm talking about prologues.
You can listen to new episodes of the Books and Betches podcast every Tuesday morning, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Bye-bye.
This is the TJ Show. I'm looking ahead to Memorial Day weekend, and a lot of big movies coming out. First and foremost, interesting that Mad Max, which was a movie in the 80s with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
They've been remaking that movie over and over and over again. Like, it's almost depressing because the movie's already made. Like, wasn't it good when it came out, or was it not great? I never saw it.
I've never saw it, but I feel like we're running out of ideas. Like, we're just remaking things, you know?
I think it's more that people want to bank on a sure thing. So if something worked in the past, they're like, well, let's not shake the cage too much. And I think it's a lot of fear, and it requires a very brave filmmaker and then I guess also investor to say, let's try something new. And it's hard to cut through with something new, and I think that's also a problem. There's so much stuff out there. Could be a little bit of both. I don't know.
It could be. I've seen it in like certain businesses, like, I'm really into sneakers.
Yeah.
So when Nike, I think it was maybe last year, they came out with the Chicago One reimagined. They're using this term reimagined. So instead of saying like new, it's like reimagined. And so I thought, okay, maybe it's just a Nike branding thing. And then the other day I drove by the Staples office supply store and they had a sign that said, welcome to the reimagined Staples.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I'm like, that's right. That's the same thing I said. I was like, that's interesting choice of words. Drove by a YMCA. Welcome, reimagine. I'm like, reimagine? What is happening? What happened to the term new?
Yeah.
People just running out of ideas and things to say.
I don't want to give him too much credit, but maybe it's like a respectful way to look back on past products that have helped build up what they are today. So to just say new, does that disregard everything that happened once before?
I didn't think about that. It's a good thought, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I give them a lot of credit.
Yeah.
I don't know if they thought about it like that.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of value, as we've seen many times over, in an idea that people know works, and that's what keeps happening. They keep just remaking or reimagining these films. Yes, producer Heather.
Well, in this instance, the new Mad Max movie is a prequel, so it's a look back at Charlize Theron's character in the previous one, Furiosa. So it's like a prequel. It's not really like a new one.
Okay.
Well, then forget everything we just said.
I think.
Here's one that is remade, or is the same branding. Garfield is also coming out.
I saw the previews for that, yeah.
And I saw that Garfield is out again, and there's a new movie with Garfield, and I don't even know one person in my whole life that likes Garfield. Are you fans?
All I remember is Saturday morning cartoons and having to get through Garfield to watch the other things you wanted to watch. That's all I remember.
My experience exactly. There was always something better on it. I'd have to tolerate Garfield. And maybe I just never got it, or maybe I was too young, but it always just looked so annoying to me.
I liked Garfield. I liked the cartoons.
What'd you like about it?
It was funny. I thought, a lazy cat, love lasagna, goofy dog. I mean, there were laughs to be had.
No, my husband is a huge fan of Garfield. He loves it. We watch all the specials every year on Christmas and Thanksgiving. He has all the seasons.
There's specials?
Yeah. I like them.
Things keep getting made about Garfield. It's like, guys, we've seen it. It's been done.
What?
Can you please, because you just said something that is surprising. Not only is he a fan, he's a huge fan. Can you interview him and just find out what is going on? Maybe I'm missing out on something.
I sure can.
Wasn't Bill Murray in one of the Garfield movies? Didn't they already do a Garfield movie?
Yeah, they did a remake where it was live action and then partially animated. So Bill Murray voiced the character of the cat that was CGI. And I heard that he didn't even realize he was signing up to be in a Garfield the Cat movie. He just saw Garfield. I think he thought it was about something else. And when he showed up on set, he apparently rewrote the entire script, and they made the mistake of filming all the live action parts before they recorded his voice parts. So they had to do reshoots and things like that afterwards.
Normally,
too.
Wouldn't believe that, but Bill Murray, I believe it.
Well, they made a sequel too.
Can you believe it's almost the end of the school year?
Yeah, a lot of students are graduating or getting ready for the next year.
Katie, say, where's the time going?
Where's the time going?
Yeah, there you go. Someone had to say that. Kenny was out on a local college campus tapping some students on the shoulder.
So I know that the school year's pretty much over now. How do you guys feel heading into summer?
Oh, horrible, Kenny. It's the worst time of year.
I want to stay in school forever.
More school.
Oh man, I'm feeling like a lot less stressed. I know that I have a future ahead of me. We're graduating, so...
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got a big future.
Did you ask him how they know that?
They're hopeful.
People think they're guaranteed to have a future after college, but that's not the case.
Well, what am I going to rain on their parade? It's
Well,
the
just
last
not.
day
I
of
could
school.
have asked. Maybe they had a story to share.
Maybe they have a plan that they could share with other people.
I asked them what they studied and what their plans were.
Oh.
Yeah, it's bittersweet. This has been my best friend for the college experience, and
Oh, just standing next to her best friend there.
now we're moving apart, but we'll still have each other to call and help each other through master's school and whatnot. But it'll be awesome.
More school?
More school, okay.
Okay, so they got more stress on the way.
Yeah.
It's the end of the school year, so how are you feeling now that...
I feel pretty good now that it's the end of the semester. Today's actually my last day of classes. I was walking to my last class, so I don't have any finals. I just have a couple of homework assignments to finish up, so I feel pretty good about it, yeah.
Are you going to miss school?
Some aspects. I live on campus, and it's kind of nice to be away from home sometimes, so I'm probably going to miss that aspect the most.
Am I the only one who was afraid to leave home? I didn't want to be on campus because I just thought something bad would happen to me.
No, I couldn't wait to leave.
What about you, Kenny?
I wish I was afraid because I moved away for school and then failed out.
Is that true?
Yeah. I couldn't handle it. I partied just too hard.
I thought you were joking when you said that last time. No. Oh, you really failed out?
Yeah, I failed.
Oh.
Well, they asked me not to come back.
Oh, okay, got it.
I think it's kind of worse.
Yeah, I wish somebody would have interviewed Kenny when he was walking off that campus, kicking grass.
Well, then I transferred. I transferred and graduated magna cum laude. So there.
So you did eventually graduate?
Yeah, I graduated. I have not 1 but 2 degrees.
Very good. Good job.
Thank you.
What are your 2 degrees?
2 degrees?
Bachelor's and master's in communications.
Bachelor's. Well, yes. Camera guy Josh is jumping up and down because Josh used to be in the school system.
You don't have 2 degrees. You have a master's degree. No one says they have 2 degrees unless they have like 2 different degrees.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's 2 pieces of paper hanging on my wall in my office.
Oh, brother.
No,
I'll print you out a third one. It doesn't make it a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. So if you got your associates, you'd have 3 degrees?
No, I didn't get my associates. But yeah, if I had another piece of paper, I'd say I have 3. Well, actually, I have a high school degree too, as a matter of fact. So
there you go. Got more degrees than a thermometer.
Look at that, Kenny. Wow. That's pretty cool. We're going to have to look into that. Is it 2 degrees? I don't think it is.
I don't think that's how that works.
So what did you study?
International relations and legal studies. I'm kind of like pre-law.
Lawyers, like with doctors, like, are you prepared, like your family constantly asking you for legal advice?
You know what? As long as they're doing something with themselves that I can get from them, then I will give them as much pro bono goods as they would like.
And that is what life is all about.
All right.
Getting as much as you can, right, Chapa?
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder, like with at least family members that I have that are doctors, I'm constantly
You're constantly
like,
asking
can
them?
you look at this thing on my
yes.
back? So
Listen,
I feel like
as
that might
long as
happen.
I have the time, I am more than happy to help the people that I love with whatever terrible things they've done that they need help with.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, Kenny, thanks for hitting up the local college campus. And congratulations to all of our students.
Kenny, did you get her business card? Because we might need her help in the future.
Well, she's
By
not a
we,
lawyer
I mean
yet.
you. Get her on the low, Kenny. You want to get her on the low fees.
Gotta admit, I'm feeling really giddy right now because of who we're about to talk to. He's a director, and his name is Mathew Hamachek. Listen to some of what he's done. Most recently, The Dynasty. New England Patriots. It's the 10 episodes on Apple TV that everyone's talking about. Anyone who knows anything about sports, which I don't, but even I've heard about it and have talked about it. It's gotten incredible reviews. A lot of controversy there, too. He directed Tiger, about Tiger Woods. He won an Emmy, a 2022 Sports Emmy for Outstanding Editing. He was also the producer on Return to Space. This was the Netflix documentary about NASA and SpaceX. He produced the Netflix documentary about Amanda Knox. I mean, these are huge projects. And we get to talk to him? Mm-hmm. How did this happen? Hey, Mathew Hamachek, is that really you?
It is. How you guys doing?
Oh my goodness. Now I'm geeking out a little bit. And I said I was feeling a little bit...
Don't geek too hard. You might scare him.
Well, you know what? You're so accomplished, and you've had so many incredible documentaries. So at the roast of Tom Brady, Bill Belichick jokes, something along the lines of, this isn't the Bill Belichick roast, that was on Apple TV. Of course, talking about what you directed, The Dynasty, New England Patriots. Did you hear that, and how did it make you feel?
I did hear it. And first off, I mean, I think the entire roast, including that, was hilarious and great. I think, what it tells me is that Bill has an incredible sense of humor, and that's great. I think, obviously some people, especially in Boston in general, wish that I had made, the puff piece, the hagiography version of this story, but that was not something that I was ever really interested in doing because I didn't grow up a fan of the Patriots. And I thought at its core that there was a great human story to be told here. And in particular, this is a team that if you knew anything about them, you knew that they didn't let anybody in, right? They kept everybody at arm's length, and there was a wall that was put up. And so I thought that if I had a chance to tell this story, that I could hopefully get these people to talk. We could get an insight as to what it was like to actually be inside the walls of that place, but we had to cover everything from Spygate to Deflategate to Aaron Hernandez, and then eventually how this whole thing fell apart at the seams, and that that was what would make it unique and different from the things that NFL Films had done, the things that the Patriot team had released. what Tom Brady had done in his 10-part series,
Right.
I think, is to talk about all this stuff and get to the much larger human story.
Well, and how brilliant is it that, and you got to give him credit for allowing you that access, because you're not just doing it because you're a fan and you're all giddy, but obviously you're in the room with Bill, and, let's talk about him first. A lot of people said he looked very grumpy on camera. Were you actually in that room when his grumpiness was in full Bill Belichick effect?
No, I was sitting right across from him. You have to keep in mind, Bill was still the coach of the team when we were doing that interview, and I felt that he needed to answer all the questions that everybody else did, even if I knew that, he wasn't interested in talking about Spygate or Aaron Hernandez or why he didn't put Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl or, what was going on with his relationship with Tom. And I wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to answer the same questions everybody else did, but also have the opportunity to comment on the things that people had said about him. And he gave, in a lot of cases, he gave one-word, one-sentence answers. And part of what I wanted to do when we were putting the thing together was to hang on him after he gave those. The people who were watching understood this. There wasn't more there. It's not like I edited out his real answer. That was it. And then he would oftentimes just sort of stare at me and want to move on to the next thing. But I thought it was important to give him the opportunity.
Obviously, everyone knows what you've done now. Where does Mathew Hamachek, as a little boy, realize that he's interested in film, editing? Like, where did that start for you? How old a guy are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 43 years old.
Okay.
I think that it started probably the same way that a lot of people fall in love with movies, which is I watched them, and the kind of things that I worked at a video store. I obsessed over these films that were coming out when I was probably a teenager. So I still remember sneaking into the movie theater to go watch Pulp Fiction for the first time when I was 14 years old. I definitely wasn't supposed to see that movie,
Right.
but found my way in. And sitting there and watching the opening credits of that thing was one of those moments where you're just like, oh, this is whatever I have to do to make something that is even in the same genre as something like this, or use some of the same techniques. And I would just watch movies over and over and over again, because I think that in a lot of ways, that's how you learn how to tell good stories, is just you start to say, okay, why is this working really well? And whether I was in the video store or not, I'd watch films like Pulp Fiction and Goodfellas and Boogie Nights, and I'd just obsess over them and try to figure out what made them tick.
By the way, I love what you're saying, because it's not like you had some special access. You were just a fan, and you immersed yourself in what you thought was good, and it led to this amazing career. And I see so many parallels with what I did with radio, where I just fell in love with listening to the radio. I was a listener first. So it's cool to meet a fellow fan of the arts. J-Bo.
Mathew, you've created so many great documentaries. What's the dream documentary for you? If you could just play, what would it be?
That's a great question. I don't think that there is a subject that I'm sitting out there saying, like, oh, man, I really feel like I have to tell this. I think the thing that I always fall in love with is the idea of a human story that transcends the genre of the documentary subject. So if you're going to go make the Tiger Woods story, how do you find something that's much bigger about society and race and things like that you can talk about and use, this incredible golfer and his relationship with the country and his father. And with the Dynasty, I think it was this human story and how these guys came together and they were perfect for each other. They created this perfect machine, but then ultimately the perfect machine fell apart because the thing that they had kept at bay for so long was the messiness of being human. And eventually they couldn't keep it at bay any longer, and it tore the thing apart. So the answer is, the thing that I love is finding these stories that people feel like they've consumed because of their sort of place in pop culture, whether it's something like The Patriots, like Tiger, like Amanda Knox, and then trying to find the human story in them and look at that. I feel very lucky to be able to tell these stories and to do them in this fashion.
Well, Mathew, you do such a great job at it. And it's so awesome to be connected with you. I know we only have a short time. One of the things I always hope is that after these interviews end, we all go out to lunch and we talk for 4 more hours.
That'd be great.
Because, you've got such a great story. And we were trying to look you up on, like, Wikipedia. We couldn't even find, there's almost no information about you. You're so mysterious.
I don't know who you're paying to keep your business at bay, but they're doing a great job.
Yeah. One of these days, Mathew, I'm going to produce a documentary about you. And it's going to be very interesting.
There we go.
But,
the tell-all expose. Unfortunately, the only thing you'll get out of that is putting people to sleep.
No.
I doubt
Hey, listen,
that.
I love your story, and I love what you shared. Thank you for sharing how you started and all those details about what you did with Dynasty. The Dynasty New England Patriots on Apple TV now. Thank you for your time today. Have an amazing weekend, Matthew.
I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys have a good one, too.
Yep,
Take
bye-bye.
care.
Bye.
Ever notice that how you feel affects your food choices, and that what you eat affects how you feel throughout the day? Well, researchers noticed it too, and now there's cutting-edge science about how food affects our emotional well-being. I'm food and science journalist Mary Beth Albright, and in my weekly podcast, Eat, You'll Feel Better, I look at practical, realistic ways to put the science of eating for emotional well-being into action. And, this is important, without lapsing into negative diet culture messages that can really ruin anyone's emotional well-being. We talk about things like how the food in your gut sends messages directly to your brain. And we also celebrate something that I personally find often missing from food health news, and that's leaning into pleasure. Because food is delicious, and it's not just about what we eat. Emotional well-being is also about how we eat. So join me every week on Eat, You'll Feel Better, where we use science to improve mood through food.
This is the TJ Show, our news. It sounds different around here. Kenny reads through every story he can find, and then he brings us the most interesting ones. Kenny, what's happening on the planet today?
This is reminiscent of towns in the Northeast that have shut down roads and other popular places so they can prevent people from taking pictures of the foliage. In Japan, there's a town that happens to have excellent views of the iconic Mount Fuji. And officials of that town have decided to put up a large black mesh screen on the sidewalk that is known for attracting tourists who want to take pictures. That screen now blocks the view of Mount Fuji, and they're hoping this will deter tourists from showing up and overcrowding the place.
That sounds nice. Let's just put us all indoors and blocked from everything beautiful for the rest of our time here.
Nah, I mean, if you lived in that neighborhood and you commute on that sidewalk and take care of business and there are tourists who are hanging out and blocking the sidewalk, that would be frustrating to be around.
Yeah, it's just sad to see another screen go up. Like, don't we have enough screens?
For sure.
It's not going to play anything.
It's like a mesh net, by the way. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's about 2.5 meters or a little over 8 feet high and stretches about 20 meters or 66 feet along the sidewalk. Now, there's also a popular hiking or climbing trail that offers amazing views of Mount Fuji too. This year, they've introduced a booking system ahead of the climbing season to ease overcrowding, littering, and safety risks. So they rather you go there, but apparently the tourists are not really respecting that land either.
Yeah, well, seeing beautiful things is becoming more complicated these days.
Yeah, over-tourism has become a big problem in Japan, not only near Mount Fuji, but other destinations as well. Japan had more than 25 million visitors last year, and the figures this year are expected to surpass 32 million, which would be a record.
Yeah, you're going to have to start paying to look at your grass soon enough. Kenny, what else you have?
Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC fame sat down with TMZ for an interview and said that talks about getting the band back together are indeed heating up.
Ooh, didn't that happen before, or is this the first time?
Well, there was the song that the band got back together for the most recent Trolls movie about a year ago, and of course that definitely heated up NSYNC Nation's hopes of a possible reunion tour, but they were kind of squashed. He said that he's had lengthy discussions with all the members of the band, including Justin Timberlake, about the band's future. He said it's just a matter of getting everyone on the same page about what they want to do next. And
Bluegrass album.
Why not? Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, try something new.
Bluegrass
Come on, guys.
Chris confirmed to TMZ that they are working on it, and it's not a categorical no to a stage comeback. And he went on to say that he would love a reunion because when the band's all back together in the same room, it feels like no time has passed in 25 years.
Listen, I'm not counting Justin Timberlake's pockets. I'm not in his pockets. I don't know how much money he's making off his tour that he's on right now. But I feel like if they got back together in sync with Justin Timberlake, he's going to make more money on that tour than what he's making right now.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll see. And by the way, on another note, was Trolls 2 good? Because I found myself really loving Trolls 1, and that was unexpected. My kids had it on, and I kept looking over my shoulder. I'm like, what are they doing? They're capturing trolls? They're about to cook them?
I enjoy the Trolls movie.
I really liked it. Was it good?
I didn't see it.
What's your problem? You see everything.
I don't see kids' movies.
What?
Did you see Trolls 2?
I like it, yeah.
Oh, all right, cool. Well, that's all I need to know.
Yeah,
That's good. All
I
right,
really enjoyed
maybe
it.
I'll have to check that one out.
If there's a wizard in the next Trolls movie, let me know, and I'll be first in
Can you
line.
imagine we do a Trolls Harry Potter combo? That'd be
Now
wild.
you're piquing my interest.
Kenny, what else you have?
There's a lot of Elvis news. The King of Rock and Roll's Graceland Mansion in Memphis is scheduled for a foreclosure auction on Thursday.
How is that possible?
The claims, according to this lender, his daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, who died just a couple of years ago, took out a loan for $3.8 million and allegedly used the mansion as collateral.
But wait a minute, isn't that a huge tourist attraction?
Mm-hmm.
And it generates a lot of income.
Yep.
It's also where Elvis lived for most of his life, and he passed there, right?
That's also where him and some of his relatives are buried.
Yeah, isn't he buried on the property?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. And you're right. Everything you said is accurate, but according to the lenders, Lisa Marie took out this loan and never paid it back before she died. They have placed a lien on the property and the possessions inside, and it's scheduled to be going up for auction on Thursday. However, Lisa Marie's daughter, Elvis's granddaughter, Riley Keough, who is a popular actress in her own right, is fighting back. She's filed suit claiming that her mother, Lisa Marie, never borrowed money from these lenders.
Oh, wow. Two completely different takes on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is going to have to see its way through court.
Well, that sounds messy.
Whether or not this foreclosure auction takes place tomorrow as it's scheduled, we'll see if that happens.
Hopefully they figure out what's really going on there.
And in other Elvis news, the King's personal Bible is up for auction.
Oh, my goodness.
Family members who took stock of his possession after his death claim that this is the one he kept near his nightstand. GWS Auctions is offering up the Bible and says they've already received a bid of $30,000. Apparently, the Bible has Elvis Aaron Presley embossed in gold and is chock full of bookmark pages and underlined passages that hit home for the singer.
The guy, when he was here, was getting taken advantage of, and now there's still so much controversy around all the money that his name and his likeness generates and his talents. It breaks my heart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny, what else is happening in the world?
Caitlin Clark, the number one overall WNBA draft pick for the Indiana Fever, and of course the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, has signed a multi-year partnership with Wilson that will include her own Caitlin Clark signature basketball collection.
Now, according to my calculations, remember when everyone was talking about how she's only being paid a little bit of money? Looks like everything worked out.
I mean, she's getting paid a little bit of money from the WNBA.
Right.
She's making her money off of endorsements.
Good for her.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Still two different things. She's still not getting paid enough in the WNBA.
Do you think she'll get there? I'm sure she will.
Oh,
right?
for sure.
I mean,
I think
with
so.
the headlines that she's getting and what she's doing for the WNBA, how do you not pay her top dollar?
Well, I'm going to get into this in just a moment, but the ratings for her first 4 games are through the roof. But when it comes to this partnership with Wilson, she'll be the first and only other athlete since Michael Jordan to have a signature basketball collection.
Come on, man.
That's cool.
That's wild.
They've already dropped 3 white and gold Clark-branded Wilson basketballs titled Threes Up, Record Breaker, and Crowd Maestro. And they feature laser engravings with some of her signature moments from her time as an Iowa Hawkeye.
I love that. I need some of those balls at the gym that we go to. I try to play my wife in pickup games, and the balls are all warped that they have there. You ever deal with a warped ball?
No.
Yeah, it's hard.
You can't get those in the hoop.
Yeah, you
like
have
it's
to-
hard enough
You
to
sure
get.
it's the ball?
Yeah, that's what I've been saying.
Not the operator?
Yeah, no, I think it's the ball.
All right.
The
Somehow
original-
my wife keeps getting it in. I don't know what's going
okay.
on. She's beaten me a couple times.
The original meaning for BYOB was bring your own ball because you can't trust those gym basketballs.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
So, yes, the first 4 games of Clark's career with the Indiana Fever have included the 3 most watched WNBA games since 2002, breaking the previous record set by the 2003 WNBA All-Star Game. We don't even have the ratings for the last game that happened on Monday, but all the games we do have ratings for have all surpassed 1 million viewers, including the season opener, which broke the previous record with 2.12 million people tuning in to ESPN2.
It's incredible. Great job there.
Yeah.
What else you have, Kenny?
Well, in other TV ratings news, This is the first time any program on television has been number one for 5 straight decades. I'm talking
5
about...
decades?
That's right. CBS's 60 Minutes, the news magazine program.
Good for
that
them.
airs on Sunday night. They just wrapped up season 56, but for the last 50 seasons, they have been the most watched TV news program on cable or broadcast.
Wow.
People love drama.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I had no idea that they were that popular. I mean, I know they've been on for my whole lifetime, but I just didn't think of it. That's amazing.
They say that the 56th season reached more than 100 million viewers, and an average of 1 in 3 Americans saw at least one episode of 60 Minutes this year.
I feel like they have the right to walk around chanting all the time, "We're number one.
Yeah.
We're number one. We're number one."
They really are.
Right.
I think the last thing I saw in 60 Minutes, and it was in clip form on the internet, it was John Batiste.
Yeah, he
and
did a great one.
He was playing the same thing in different genres and styles of music, and it was breathtaking. It was so cool.
Well, they had a historic interview with the Pope this past Sunday. The Pope hardly ever does TV interviews, but he sat down with Norah O'Donnell this past Sunday night.
Well, for 60 minutes, right? Kenny, thank you for keeping us somewhat informed.
That's what's happening.